The dog kept barking at its owner's coffin. Opening it, people screamed in horror. During Officer Lucas Hartman's sad funeral, a terrible incident transpired when his beloved canine buddy Rocky repeatedly barked at the closed casket. Rocky's frantic barking filled the air, and the officers encircling him attempted in vain to calm the distraught canine, but nothing seemed to ease his pain. Finally, a senior officer proposed opening the casket to give Rocky closure. The family consented, hesitant yet desperate to alleviate the dog's suffering. What happened next sent a wave of fear through the gathering, revealing a horrifying fact that no one could have predicted. Why was the dog barking? And what was inside the closed casket? Stay tuned for today's video, and animals need love, and find out the answer. On a bright but cool morning, a steady drizzle fell over Maplewood, its streets sparkling against the muted gray sky. The smell of damp dirt combined with the gentle scent of flowering wildflowers from surrounding gardens. The heavy mood in the air as people gathered outside the small church was starkly contrasted by the unusually beautiful day for a funeral. They came today to pay their respects to Officer Lucas Hartman, a committed police officer who had served his town honorably. Family members arrived from Nevada, their faces full of anguish and disbelief. It had been over 5 years since they had last seen Lucas, and the lack of his familiar laughter left a huge hole in their hearts. They took their seats near the closed casket, which was decorated with a simple bouquet of white lilies and blue hydrangeas, Lucas's favorite flowers. The atmosphere inside the chapel was solemn, with gentle tears from Lucas's family and fellow officers dressed in neat dark uniforms. Each uniform appeared to weigh more than the last, a monument to the brotherhood formed in the line of duty. Rocky, Lucas's devoted K7 partner, stood out among the grieving. The German Shepherd was a commanding figure, his sleek coat glittering even in the low light of the chapel. Today, Rocky's behavior was different. He proceeded slowly, his normally confident gait replaced by a shaky shuffle, his ears pinned back against his skull, and his expressive eyes filled with confusion and despair. It was in 2015, Officer Lucas Hartman walked into the police station for the first time in the middle of a busy city. He was very excited, and his heart was beating. He could finally make his lifelong dream come true. He could join the K7 unit. As a child, Lucas always found comfort in the company of dogs, especially Rocky, his childhood pet, whose loyalty helped him learn what it means to trust and be friends. Lucas's life was missing something big since Rocky died 2 years ago. At the same time, Rocky, a trained K7 who had been working for 4 years, was dealing with his own problems. He had just lost his partner in a terrible accident, which broke his heart. They had a deep bond, and without him, Rocky felt lost in a world that was strange to him. Even though he kept up with his training, he had a hard time getting along with new people and became known as a difficult-to-place dog. The department had hoped that a new start would get him excited again, but time was running out because he was about to leave. The first meeting was in the morning. He carefully got ready for their meeting by bringing treats. He did this in the hopes that these small actions would help them get along. When Rocky was shown, Lucas got on his knees and slowly and gently put out his hand, as he had been told by more experienced cops. "Hey there, buddy," he said in a soft voice that felt like a cool breeze on a hot day. Rocky took a careful sniff of the air and looked back and forth between Lucas and the handler. He gave in to the situation with a single bark and laid down, but he kept a wall of guard around his heart. Lucas was sitting on the sidewalk with his legs crossed. The space between them felt very big. He took out a treat, and the smell of it filled the room. He then gently threw it at Rocky. The dog sniffed it and then looked back at Lucas, his eyes filled with doubt. "All right, Rocky," Lucas urged. "It's just a snack." It broke his heart to see the once proud dog look so small and nervous. After what seemed like a lifetime, Rocky slowly walked up to the treat and sniffed it before taking it. Lucas felt hope start to grow inside him. Lucas was hopeful at first, but his mood changed when they talked about the cop car. Rocky paused at the open door of the car. His body language showed that he didn't want to do it. Taking a deep breath, he finally jumped into the back seat and curled up on the far side. As soon as Lucas sat down in the driver's seat, a wave of sadness hit him. He think about the trip that was coming up. He knew that faith was like a dance that needed time and understanding to get right. For Lucas, the first week on the job was a blur, with the slow beats of a small-town police corps. Calls came in at random, mostly about routine things, and he had to depend on his partner, Rocky, a loyal and skilled K7. Their work together went smoothly. Commands were carried out perfectly, and searches were done perfectly. But Lucas was still sad that he didn't have a deeper relationship with the dog. Then, after 2 months, everything changed. The station received an urgent call about Nal, a young girl missing while camping in the woods. After hours of searching, her parents were frantic. Lucas and his K7 partner Rocky were dispatched to help. Upon arrival, a volunteer handed Lucas Nala's favorite pink sweater, and he encouraged Rocky to find her. Rocky immediately took off down a narrow trail, leading Lucas deeper into the forest. Unbeknownst to him, Nal had changed her hiking route and was now on an unmarked path. Lucas followed Rocky, who soon barked furiously at the edge of a steep cliff. Lucas looked down to find Nal trapped on a rocky ledge after slipping during her hike. "Stay back, Rocky," Lucas warned as he approached the edge. He called out to Nal, who stirred but didn't respond. Determined to help, he organized a rescue team to lower him down. As he descended, he spoke softly to Nal, reassuring her until he reached her. She was scared but conscious. With the rescue team's help, they pulled Nal to safety. Lucas admired her bravery, and she thanked him, saying she was scared. Rocky comforted her, nuzzling her hand. After a thorough check, it was confirmed Nal would be fine. As the sun set, Lucas felt grateful for the successful rescue. On the drive back, he praised Rocky, who eagerly hopped into the cruiser. That night, for the first time since losing his previous partner, Rocky stayed with Lucas at his apartment. Over the course of a year, K7 officer Rocky and his handler Lucas formed a bond that felt unbreakable. They worked well together and got through the tough parts of police work. Their friendship made everyone in the department jealous. Lucas had finally found the link he had been looking for since the death of his previous partner. Rocky, who had been having problems, had also found stability and trust in Lucas. But on a terrible night in July 2016, their relationship would be put to the test. There had been a lot of break-ins in town, and thieves were going after buildings that weren't properly locked down. A security guard was shot just outside of one of the warehouses, which made things worse and caused a quick reevaluation of how to deal with the growing danger. Because of how important the situation was, Lucas and Rocky were put in charge of Officer Michael, who was just starting out after graduating from the police school. The department didn't have enough experienced workers, so Michael had to follow more experienced cops around during these dangerous operations. The three were told to keep an eye on a brand new building outside of town that held valuable items but hadn't yet put up security measures because it wasn't budgeted for them. It was clear that things were tense as they parked in an unmarked car. They thought it would be a long, quiet night, so the three cops settled down. After hours of nothing happening, Lucas could feel the night's weight falling on him. They were about to give up hope when Rocky's senses kicked in. The dog let out a low growl that let Lucas know that someone was close. At that very moment, Lucas saw shadowy forms moving along the outside of the building. He gave Michael a sign, and the two of them carefully got out of the car with their guns drawn, ready for whatever was coming next. When the cops got close to the warehouse, they split up. Michael went to the left, while Lucas and Rocky moved carefully to the right. Early on, Rocky's growl got deeper, which made Lucas's heart beat faster. When he turned around, he saw 3 people in dark hoodies trying to break open the back door. "Stop! Police!" Lucas yelled, raised his gun, and told them to do what he said. The figures stopped for a moment, and there was a lot of stress in the air. Then chaos broke out. Rocky yelled because he felt threatened before Lucas could do anything. One of the thieves sneaked up on Michael from behind and fired a gun, sending a loud sound through the night. Everything went completely out of hand in an instant. Lucas radioed for help, sounding tense as he tried to figure out what was going on. Before he could fully understand what was going on, someone else charged at him. The world was a blur of gunshots and yelling. Lucas tried to get back in charge, but it was too late. The attackers ran away into the darkness, leaving a terrible scene behind them. After the fight was over, Lucas and Michael were both hurt, and Rocky was lying on the ground, crying but still living. Even though help came quickly, it was clear that the night had been very bad. Lucas fought hard to stay awake, hoping that help would arrive soon and save them. But as doctors rushed to his aid, he could feel his strength fading. When they got to the hospital, it was clear how bad their injuries were. Lucas's situation got worse, and even though the medical staff did everything they could, he passed away from his wounds. They were heartbroken because they had lost a dedicated cop and Rocky's beloved partner. Michael stayed in a sleep, and no one knew what would happen to him next. The department was shocked by the news, and funeral plans for Lucas were made right away. His family, who lived far away, was told about the death and flew in to honor their son. The department was filled with sadness on the day of the funeral. Rocky had been with another cop since the event, but he was brought in to say his last goodbyes. The loyal dog walked slowly into the chapel, his eyes filled with a mix of confusion and sadness. He was still hurting emotionally from that terrible night. The atmosphere in the chapel was heavy with grief, as friends, family, and fellow officers gathered to honor Officer Lucas Hartman. Rocky, his loyal K7 partner, sat quietly, struggling to process the loss. As eulogies began, Rocky suddenly started barking at the coffin, disrupting the somber atmosphere. Despite attempts to calm him, his barking grew frantic, as if he needed to convey something urgent. Breaking free, Rocky dashed to the front of the church, with his new partner tripping in confusion behind him. When Rocky reached the coffin, his cries echoed through the room, intensifying the sorrow. A senior officer raised his hands for silence, hoping Rocky would settle upon seeing Lucas's face. The family, having chosen a closed casket service, was hesitant to confront their loss, but Lucas's mother, moved by Rocky's loyalty, urged, "Open it." When the casket was opened, a gasp erupted from Lucas's mother. The body inside wasn't her son. Shock rippled through the crowd as chaos ensued, with questions of Lucas's whereabouts filling the air. Amidst the turmoil, Rocky calmed down, lying next to the grave, as if sensing the truth all along. People who were mourning quickly split up and went back to the police station, where Rocky and Lucas's fellow cops were waiting. There was a review right away to find out what really happened. At first, the doctor thought the dead person was Officer Lucas Hartman, but it wasn't clear how such a mistake could happen. Everyone who went to the hospital, the police chief, Lucas's family, Rocky, and his new partner, hoped to get more information. While they were waiting, the doctor who had treated Lucas went down to where the bodies of dead patients were kept. "I need to get this sorted out," he said to himself. He started to look through the bags that had the officers' names on them and made note of the IDs and other personal things that had been found when the bags were brought in. Fear swept over him as he opened the bags and put them on the table. As he had thought, no one had really checked the IDs. He whispered, his hands shaking, "This is bad." He took out a bag that said it was for the man who was coma. The ID of Officer Michael Collins was inside, and the face on it didn't look like the man upstairs. "Oh no, please tell me this isn't what I think," he begged, as he desperately looked for the bag that was marked as the dead person's things. He opened it and with shaking hands and took out the wallet. He was sure of the worst things when he looked at the ID. It belonged to Officer Lucas Hartman. He became aware of something very quickly. He quickly called the head of the hospital. The situation is very bad. The bodies are mixed up. Lucas Hartman is still alive. The group walked into the office of the hospital director and felt a heavy sense of anger and confusion. "What do you mean there was a mistake?" Lucas's mother yelled in a sharp voice. "How could this happen?" The facts of what went wrong were told after a long talk full of apologies. "Two men were brought in on the night of the warehouse incident," the director said. "One was shot and died while they were being operated on. The other person was hurt and put into a coma. A folder was shown by his hand. Unfortunately, Lucas's family wasn't there to help us identify him, so we thought the first identification was correct. Because we didn't have enough staff," the director said, looking sorry. "Our minds were clear that we were doing everything right. Rocky was the only one who saw the mistake," Lucas's partner said in a low voice. "The man demanded that the coffin be opened, or we might not have seen this in time." Following many sincere apologies from both the cops and the hospital, a settlement was reached between the two families. She said with tears in her eyes, "This is for Michael. He should have a proper send-off." An extra service for Officer Michael Collins was held a month later, and everything went as planned. While this was going on, Lucas was healing in a sleep under Michael's name. When he woke up, everything was upside down. He croaked, "Rocky?" and reached out for his trusty friend. What took place? While Rocky licked his face, Lucas's heart sank at the thought of Michael's family being hurt by the mistake. He whispered, "I'm so sorry," as tears formed in his eyes. "I meant for this not to happen." It was another month before Lucas was fully better after his injuries. Rocky was by his side the whole time, and their bond was stronger than ever. Lucas spoke to Rocky one day and stroked his fur. "You're my best friend, buddy. You made it possible for me to do this." The next year, Lucas chose to take the recertification test to get back with his fellow officers, even though the warehouse incident had been very upsetting for him. He told Rocky, "I'm ready," with an angry look in his eyes. "We need to get this done." When he passed with flying colors, everyone was so happy. "Partner, we're back on the job," Lucas yelled and hugged Rocky. "Let's go show them." Lucas and Rocky still walked the streets together, as if they could not live without each other. Rocky never gave up, and the heartbreaking truth about the mix-up came out. This gave both Lucas's and Michael's families the closure they so badly needed. That's the end of the story today. Don't hesitate to give your opinion in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching to the end. If you find our video interesting, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with others. Finally, don't forget to turn on our bell and subscribe to our channel. Animals Need Love so you don't miss any of our new videos. Thank you for your support and see you next time.